should just hold this like a baby for the whole review. Like this. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to review this behemoth right here. So this is the Sigma 60-600 f4.5 to 6.3 super telephoto sports lens. Let's begin. Alright guys, so before we begin, I just want to say a big thank you to George's Cameras for lending me this massive lens to try out and to review for you guys. So if you need anything camera or lighting related, just go to their website at georges.com.au and they will sort you out. Okay, so let's begin about this review. So the first one is the cost of the lens. So brand new, this lens will cost you around 3,200 Australian dollars. So if you convert that to American dollars, it's roughly around 2,300, I think. That's brand new everywhere. But if you go to George's Cameras right now, they're having a $500 discount. So this bad boy will only cost you around 2,800. So it's pretty worth it. So check them out if you think this lens is for you. All right, so let's begin about the build quality of this lens. So most Sigma lenses that I've ever used with art or sports lenses, they're all built the same, which is very good for Sigma. They're very consistent like that. So this bad boy is built to last and built to be used in like harsh conditions. So it's all metal with a hard rubber ring around, so this makes it weather sealed. So it's gonna have like water resistant, dust resistant, and pretty much sand resistant. So if you go through like the desert or the beach, I'm pretty sure there's not much areas that the sand can go to literally break your lens. So this lens is weather sealed just because of the hard casing of metal and the hard rubber ring around it. Alright, so just like all the sports lenses that I own, so this one right here, the 70-200, and the good thing about Sigma, as I said before, is their consistency. So just like this one right here, the big 60-600 have the same features. So like if you're using the smaller versions or the big versions, you're not gonna get lost because it's all the same. So I'm just gonna grab the big one, okay? All right, so here she is. So just like the 70-200 f2.8, so this has your focus button. So it's got your automatic focus or your autofocus and your manual focus. Right there, you got your focus distance, so you can go to full, infinity, or 6 meters. The 70-200 only goes to 3 meters, full and infinity, so it's quite cool. After that one, you have your image stabilizer or their OS. I usually go all the way to 2, but it's got 3 options. It's got 2, 1, and 0. And then obviously you got your custom made buttons right here, so you can customize the lens, whatever you wanna, do with it and stuff like that, how you wanna use it. It's got customization 1, 2, and off. And the most important thing about this lens right here is this lock button right on the side. So this one would lock your lens and it'll stop you from going out or in. So what I mean by that is if you hold this lens upside down, because it's so heavy, this bad boy will drop down just because of the gravity and the weight. If you lock this like so, it will not, so it's gonna keep it nice and tight, nice and tidy, and it's not gonna move around on your bag. And another feature as well, so if you take the cap off, like so, this lens comes with a metal lens hood. Just like the body itself, this lens hood will sustain a lot of damage, and especially if you put it on. Just be aware as well, it's gonna be a lot longer now, as you can see. Okay, so this casing or this lens hood will keep your glass or the element in front to break when you drop it. So it's quite good to have it there. Always protect your lens, always use your lens hood as well for something this big and this expensive, okay? And another feature as well with this bad boy, it's got a 105mm thread filter right here, so that massive element in front. Just be aware if you're buying yourself a UV filter, an ND, or a polarizer, it's gonna cost you a couple $100 because the bigger the thread is, the more expensive that piece of glass is going to be. So just be aware. And the final thing about the feature of this lens is one of my favorite that Sigma does, well, any like lenses do, which is quite cool in my opinion, is the Arca Swiss Blade collar right here. So the good thing about this, if you place this lens on a tripod right there, that's gonna be mounted and it's not gonna move, okay? So this collar right here, if you just unlock that, you can change the orientation of your angle by going horizontal or landscape, horizontal or landscape, which is quite cool. So you don't have to like, take this off, adjust it, and then, put it back on again. So that's the cool thing about the Arca Swiss Blade collar that Sigma put. So well done, guys. Alright, so moving into the side of your screen right now, we're going to go through all the image that I've taken during the review of this lens. So a little bit of a backstory of this one right here. I went to Bondi Beach around lunchtime and I only had about 45 minutes, but I got lucky because when I was down there was a school of like surfers who were just learning and stuff like that. So some of the photos that you're going to see right now are taken just, shooting those surfers going in and out of the water. And the good thing about that is I was there at lunch, so the light is very, very harsh and it's very, very bright. So for me, taking this lens around the harshest conditions, especially when it's windy, at the beach, a lot of people. So, you're going to see some like focus breathing, some like back focusing and some missed shots and stuff like that. So this lens, in my opinion, held up. And all of these shots that you can see right now in front of you are all taken with the 600mm focal point all the way down to, I think, just 200. So I was playing around just 200 to 600 because there was no point of me going to 60 because that's too far, because I was sitting at the very, very far end of the beach. And that's the great thing about having a massive telephoto lens, is just you can just sit on the other side by yourself without bothering anyone, without getting bothered as well, and just shooting as many shots as you want, as whatever composition that you want, and there's no, let's say, anyone distracting you and stuff like that. So all these shots are taken with a 200mm distance to all the way up to 600. So all these shots right here are raw, unedited, straight from the camera to the computer, okay? So as I said, harsh light, midday, lots of people, and in my honest opinion, this lens is a perfect lens if you just want to use one lens, and if you're doing a lot of, like, let's say, sports photography, surfing events, cricket games, rugby, soccer, whatever sports that you can think of that is played outside during lunchtime with the harshest conditions. So hopefully you guys like all these images. So the first pro that I'm going to talk about is the ×10 magnification. So you're looking at 60mm nice and wide, wide open aperture of 4.5, and all the way down to 600mm with an aperture of 6.3. Another pro as well that I found about this lens is it's a lot cheaper than all the Canon L series lenses, especially with the focal range that it has, the versatility and pretty much the flexibility of the 60 to 600. Because if you compare this to, let's say, a 400mm f4 prime Canon, that's going to roughly cost you about $12,000 to $15,000, and especially with a 100 to 500mm L series lens, that's going to cost you double the amount. And in my honest opinion, you want something a lot cheaper with a lot more flexibility that you can just toss around without you freaking out if you scratched it or banged it somewhere in your bag. So the cons about this lens, okay, so obviously with the external zoom of going from 600 all the way down to 60, it makes your gear and your camera and everything else heavy because of the external zoom, and it's going to tilt your camera forward when you zoom in to 600mm. And one of the worst things about Sigma lenses that I found throughout the years that I've been using them is that their rubber rings, especially their zoom rings, are very, very tight. I don't know if it's because of the weather sealing or like the hard rubber that they use, but the throw from 60 to 600 takes a long time. So if you're doing a lot of B-rolls and you're thinking, hey, I only got this lens and I can cover pretty much everything that I needed, it's going to be very, very hard doing, like, let's say, a panoramic shot of you just zooming in, just because that throw from 60 to 600 takes a long time, and that rubber ring is very, very hard to turn. So who is this lens for? It's for the sports photographers, it's for the National Geographic guys who shoots animals from a distance. And if you just want to carry one lens and one lens only, and you want to cover 60 to 600mm, then this lens is the right lens for you. It's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as the L series Canon lenses, okay? So that's about it. So hopefully you guys like this little quick review of this mammoth of a lens. I'll be doing some more POV reviews about this lens coming up. I will be taking this to the city around lunchtime and at night, just doing some handheld shots if it's usable for handheld, if it's usable for low light situations. So just, you know, just look out for those videos coming up in the future. And I just want to say a big shout out to Sigma Australia and especially George's Cameras for the hookup. So for the whole month of August, I'm just going to review all Sigma lenses that I can get, and hopefully you guys will, you know, watch them as well. So thank you guys for tuning in and sitting down and just, you know, thinking if this lens is the right thing for you. So hopefully you guys like that. Click like, subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys soon. This is Carlo aka iCapture It, signing out. Peace.